One of the most notable comic book successes in recent years is Skybound's Energon Universe. This universe merges elements from Transformers, G.I. Joe, and an original series called Void Rivals. With the launch of G.I. Joe #1 set for next month, the creative minds behind the Energon Universe recently gathered at New York Comic Con to provide exciting updates. The panel featured key figures such as Robert Kirkman from Void Rivals, Jorge Corona, Transformers, Joshua Williamson, G.I. Joe, Tom Riley, G.I. Joe, and Sean Makiewicz, SVP/Publisher, Skybound. Here's what they shared during the discussion. Williamson kicked things off by expressing how surreal yet exciting it was to finally reveal their hard work on G.I. Joe. Riley added that while it may feel new to the audience, the team has been deeply engaged in the project for quite some time. When asked what makes the upcoming G.I. Joe #1 unique, Makiewicz humorously remarked, "We did it." He further explained that there's a buzz among those who typically don't follow G.I. Joe. Kirkman highlighted that a significant aspect of this series is its focus on character development. He expressed his admiration for G.I. Joe, noting it features a more compelling rogues gallery than well-known heroes like Batman and Spider-Man. Kirkman humorously elaborated on his thoughts about character depth before Williamson introduced a new character named Risk, a thrill-seeker who finds himself at odds with team leader Duke. Riley discussed the design process for Risk, mentioning that he incorporated various details to justify his creative choices, some of which appeared on a variant cover. As they discussed the character lineup, including Duke, Rox and Roll, Baroness, Covergirl, Clutch, Stalker, and Hawk, Williamson acknowledged the original toy lineup as inspiration. Kirkman playfully asked the audience to name any significant G.I. Joe characters missing from this roster, prompting a chorus of shouts for Snake Eyes. Kirkman responded jokingly, "Never heard of him," before suggesting they should consider including him given his popularity. The panel then presented the cover for G.I. Joe #2, showcasing Risk, illustrated by Jorge Corona and Mike Spicer. When discussing his transition from Transformers to G.I. Joe, Corona humorously commented on the stark difference in style, calling it way too organic and way too fleshy. Williamson shared an interesting take on Cobra Commander, revealing that in this version, he doesn't retreat from battles. He recounted a moment where a soldier shouts retreat, and Cobra Commander shoots him, emphasizing a character shift that adds depth to the narrative. Turning to Void Rivals, Kirkman teased the introduction of Cobra Law into that series, recounting how he pitched the concept of taking the Cobra Commander series in a space-bound direction during a Christmas call with Williamson. Williamson agreed to the idea quickly, so he could return to family time, to which Kirkman jokingly remarked on the ease of expanding the universe. Kirkman also noted that the Royal Guardsmen would receive backstories that would contribute to lasting lore within the G.I. Joe universe, hinting that once he has explored these characters, he would hand them back to Williamson. As they shifted to discuss Transformers, Jorge Corona expressed the challenge of following in Daniel Warren Johnson's footsteps with Transformers #15, emphasizing the need to maintain the same level of intensity and emotion in his artwork. Regarding upcoming storylines, Corona hinted at a significant role for Ultra Magnus as he learns to build himself both internally and externally. Makiewicz teased that Megatron is headed for a showdown with both Autobots and Decepticons. The panel concluded with a Q&A session, where Kirkman addressed inquiries about when characters from Void Rivals might cross over into Transformers and G.I. Joe. He assured fans that these interactions would happen eventually, but noted it would take time and effort to integrate those characters into the established narratives. In response to a question about aligning comic storylines with movie plots, Kirkman stated they respect the film adaptations, but emphasized that each project operates independently. Hasbro may suggest connections, but it's not enforced. The panel wrapped up with a light-hearted inquiry about the possibility of using Sergeant Slaughter, to which Makiewicz simply replied, "Maybe."